This is the area that this video plans to cover. Terms and of course the collective agreements. Yes, implied rights and duties of employees. Beginning with, any employment contract might contain both express and implied terms. Express means what we discuss and agree. Perhaps in writing, you should understand that an employment contract does not require any writing. You can be an employee without a written contract. There are so much of employees like that. And yes, employment law, the decisions of the court, customs practices, different industries have different customs, different practices. They all imply into an employment contract, and employee therefore is covered both by express terms as well as implied terms. These are some examples. Place of work, yes. Commissions, job role, designation, what sort of a work, what kind of a job parameter, what's the maximum, what's the range of work, all that should maybe mentioned in the express terms of an employment contract. Implied terms comes from the law. Safety at workplace, health comes in the law, employees provident fund, employees trust fund, gratuity, that's paritoshikaya, and of course the maternity benefits. So each and every implied term has a separate act in Sri Lanka. Other countries also, right? So express terms normally focus on the very necessary ones. The typical employment contract will have some terms at least which are spoken or written, right? Express. This is very, very important. Now, once an employee enter a job, join a job, once he joins a job, right, he might get together with other employees to make up some agreements with the employer. So they are both the parties. That means the employees collectively and the employer on the other side, right, individually or whatever. They may make up agreements and they are also okay. You call them collective agreements. So if I join a company with something like, let's say, 10,000 rupees salary, but then after an agreement with all the employees, after a couple of years after I work there, right, after an agreement with the other employees, if the employer decides to agree to increase the salary by 500 rupees to me as well as to the others, so that's a collective agreement. They're also okay. Yeah, this is a very important thing. What are the implied duties of an employee, whether it's in the contract or not, whether you specifically agree or not? What are the duties of an employee? ගොඩක් කලාවට මෙතනින් තමයි employees get into problem. Employees might think, right, this is not in my contract, so I don't have to do it. It's not that way. Not that way. There are duties for the employee. Take a look. Honest and faithful service, you have to do it. Fidelity, we cannot violate the confidentiality. We cannot be secretive towards the employer. We have to be loyal to the employer. We should not do things that benefits the competitor. If we do, employer can remove me from the work. And yes, whatever the lawful and reasonable orders, I have a duty to follow. There again, the employer might be upset with an employee if he does not follow some of these orders, some of the requests. I may be a chartered accountant working in a company, but if the employer or if the manager on the day asks me to make tea for the employees, others in the office, because the tea making person has not come, I can't say, piece of the boss, I'm a chartered accountant, but they had done a name, you can't say that. Any reasonable request you have to comply with when you are an employee. You can't just stick to only the contractual duties. Many Sri Lankan employees get into problem there. You have to take reasonable care. You have to have reasonable skills. You don't need to have 100% care, but reasonable care and skill is a must. And then it's a confidential information. You're not going to tell anything about what's happening inside the company to anyone, even to your own family. You have to maintain confidentiality, especially with regard to sales, marketing, company plans, company strategies, right? Every company, every business has loads of confidential information release or leak of that information could result in huge losses to a business. So you have a duty to hold on to it, protect it, not to, let it be in the hands of others. You have to give personal service. When you're an employee, you're supposed to work yourself. You can't hand over the work to another one, which is specifically given to you, unless the company gives you specific permission for that. Whatever given to you, you have to do it yourself. And just, you should be cooperating with the employer, and employer also has a duty to cooperate with you. We call it mutual cooperation. Employer also has these duties. Take a look. Salary, yes. Indemnify the employee for the expenses, like the reimbursements, we call it. Traveling, food, right? You have to do that. Yeah, there should be a higher degree of care towards the employees regarding safety. And any decision on termination of employment should result in prior notice given to the employee in writing. Likitava denna. And trust and confidence, yes. So, and remember that this is very, very crucial. I can't demand a character certificate from the employer. Employer has a right to say no. When I, as the employee, ask for one, he can simply say no, sorry, can't give you. And then, yes, employer has no duty to give me work. He can decide not to employ me, he can employ me, but not to give me work. I have no right to demand work. But on my part, I can demand work from the employer if I need the work so that my salary would not be hurt. That means, if I am working for piece work, like Kalimimekramate, then I should be given sufficient work. Then only I will be getting a sufficient salary. Or in order to maintain my skills. Imagine I am in the IT sector and the company is not giving me work for 6-7 months. So that will definitely get me outdated, right? Because IT is an industry where things happen very fast. And just in order to maintain my reputation. There, yes, I can fight for work, but remember, generally, employer has no duty to give me work. That is that. Yes, character certificate, I have no right to ask for it. Okay, that's it.